The main focus of this YouTube channel is that I build automated trading strategies and then I show you the backtest results of those strategies. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all how I do that backtesting. So right after you all hit the like button, we'll jump into it. I code strategies within ThinkorSwim. It's what you see running on the NVIDIA daily chart behind you. And if you've never seen this before and it looks interesting to you, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because as aforementioned, it's basically what we do here. But there is so much more to building a profitable strategy than just coding a profitable strategy, right? You need to be able to run in-depth backtest to actually prove that the statistics across time are going to give you a statistical advantage against the market. And we're going to do that via exporting the report function to Excel and manipulating the data over there. Let me do that again quickly because I might have skipped over it without explaining it. What I did was I right-clicked on one of the either buy or sell arrows from your strategy, and I clicked on show report, and this is going to give you an entire data dump of every trade that your strategy has taken, right? And it gives you some statistics at the bottom, your largest trade P&L, your total P&L, and your total number of orders. But we need to know average win, average loss, average risk reward, win percentage, and we don't get those statistics from ThinkorSwim directly, so we're going to have to manipulate that data ourselves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click export file. I will just go ahead and save it as strategy reports, NVIDIA, blah, 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 whatever it is, and then I'm going to jump into Excel. Now it is time for everyone's favorite Microsoft Office product, Excel, the one that you all put that you are proficient in on your resume, even though most of you probably don't know what a macro is. We are in Excel now, and I'm going to go to File, Open, and where ThinkorSwim stores that document by default, it may be different for you, but where it should be stored by default is under your normal documents within your computer, and you're going to have to go down and show all files as it's a CSV file, not an Excel file. So I'm going to open that strategy reports that we just exported from ThinkorSwim. Great. Now you have a disgusting CSV data dump into your Excel file. What the hell do I do with this tray? This is where it's going to start getting a little techie. I'm going to try to explain it relatively slowly. You are watching a YouTube video, so you have the benefit of being able to go back and rewatch, which you may have to do because I don't want to take too much time here, but I'm going to select the entire drop-down column A. I'm going to go to the data tab up top, and then we are going to go to this text to columns. Delimited is what we want, and we want it to be delimited on the semicolon and the semicolon only. Once you have that selected, you can hit finish. There's data already here. Do you want to replace it? Yes, just wipe what's there. We don't care. And now look, now you have the data actually sorted into columns, right? The name of your strategy, whether you're buying or selling. This is a really long name. Well, whether you're buying or selling, the amount you're buying, at what price you're buying at what date you're buying at. And then you'll notice here you have your trade P&L and you have your running P&L. But what's wrong with this? It looks gross. What is happening here is an issue with converting that CSV file from Excel where any number in the thousands gets cut off like this. The way it delimits, and honestly, someone smarter than me in Excel out there might know a better solution to this, but the way I delimit my file, it cuts off anything past 1,000. I'm going to show you how to fix that right now. Whoa. We're not even 4 minutes into this video yet, and this process already sounds boring, tedious, and time-consuming. And I'm here to tell you, it is. This stuff's not fun. It takes a lot of time, and it's very tedious, click-intensive type work. But I am also here to help save you. I have already done a ton of this work, hundreds of hours worth of this work to prove profitable strategies that work for me, and I've made them available over on my website, daytradingstrategies.net. Once you sign up for the website for only $25, not trying to rip you off, you see people charging thousands and thousands for this stuff. For $25, you're going to get access to over 13 strategies, and I'm adding new ones every single week that I have already done all this work for. So if you don't want to have to do all this crap, if you'd rather just get a little quick shortcut and have access to a bunch of strategies that already work, check out daytradingstrategies.net. Link at the top of the description. We'll see you over there. You all know how P&Ls are calculated. You take the money that you had at the end of the trade and you subtract it from the money that you put in the trade, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to put in our own calculation here since the CSV export ends up getting a little wonky for us. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and delete these 3 columns. We won't need them. We're going to rebuild them ourselves, right? So I'm going to rename this trade P&L, and then I am going to look down here at the sell order, and I'm going to type equals sum of the first sell order equals the sum. Actually, pause. This is a negative number since you are selling that many shares. So I'm going to do negative that sell times this cell, right? That's going to show, hey, that's how much money we had at the end of the trade. However many shares you were in, multiplied by the price, that's amount of money, right? And I actually need to add a separate parenthesis system around that because we are going to take that and we are, of course, going to minus it from the same thing when we bought the shares. We bought 54,545. That's a really nice number. Amount of shares. And that is multiplied by 46 cents. We were taking $25,000 positions with this strategy, and that's going to give you $1,636 worth of loss. Next, we're going to do a fun trick to get this to go down the entire form. Stick with me here. If I click on the B column and still under the data tab, I'm going to turn on filtering on this column. And that did nothing. I'm going to turn on filtering on this column, and I'm going to click on the filter, and I'm going to turn off the buy trades. I don't want to see any of the buys, only the sells. Now, if I double click this little box in the bottom right of this column, it's going to populate all of my sell orders and the sell orders only, but still based off of also the buy orders. Because now, if I put back in my buy orders, look at how nice that looks, right? You now have your all the way run down every trade you've taken, the trade P&L calculated the correct way with that one simple trick. So now let's go ahead and get our running total back using a very similar trick. Once again, going to click on the filter in the B column, turn off the buy orders so we just have our trade P&L columns here. And in this column above the first result, I'm going to put a 0. And then in this results column, I'm going to type equals sum of the 0 column plus the next P&L column. And that is going to give us our running total. If you drag it down one more time, you will now see it's H8 plus G10. So it's taking whatever the current running total is, adding and or subtracting, of course, the P&L of the next trade. If I once again double click this so that it goes all the way down the chart, you will see that on NVIDIA since 1999, my runner swing large cap strategy is up $177,000, which pretty much exactly aligns with the actual results from ThinkorSwim, barring a couple issues I'm about to talk about. I'm going to pause for just a second to bring up something that I just noticed that I don't ever normally run into. Since this was trading when this was a penny stock, I mean, back in, when was this trade? 1999, NVIDIA was a penny stock. Imagine, right? But since it was trading back then, if you look at the actual report from ThinkorSwim, that first trade, 1988, 1144, 120, 765, those numbers are going to be slightly different than this report, right? You will notice immediately how those numbers are a little bit different. Once again, what was it? The trade P&L, 1636, 2500, and 1122. It is 1633, 2777, and 1023. They're a little off, and that is because of rounding. In ThinkorSwim, when you're trading a penny stock, you're trading however many decimals ThinkorSwim wants to put in. It's a lot. And it's just not displaying that correctly in the CSV file, right? As we get down to the bottom, when we are now trading a $100 stock, look at some of these trade P&Ls. Minus 2,300, plus 37.3, plus 1.1. If I go to the bottom of my document here, you will see minus 23.4, plus 37.3, plus 1.1. So that issue goes away when you're trading more expensive stocks. So maybe the better thing to do here would be to cut out the penny stock segment of when the stock was trading, because you wouldn't have been trading NVIDIA in 1999 when it was a penny stock anyway, right? So maybe the best thing is just to come remove these trades. I'm not going to right now. I figure it probably works out anyway. You probably get enough of rounding up errors versus rounding down errors. It's not going to make much of a difference to your statistics. I just wanted to point it out because somebody's going to notice the difference and yell at me in the comments. So I wanted to get out in front of that. So the second and final reason you would be seeing slightly different numbers in your total P&L on your backtest versus the actual results that you're seeing from the floating P&L study within the ThinkorSwim platform is look at NVIDIA. It is currently in a trade, right? So of course, I'm not going to be able to pull the correct statistics. I don't have the exit of this trade yet. So I actually need to go back and turn back on my buy orders. But of course, the simple fix to that and what I end up doing in my backtest, you just delete this buy order, right? You can't pull statistics from that trade yet because the trade's still open. So simply just delete that, and that will kind of help even better configure your actual backtest results to almost exactly align with ThinkorSwim. So $177,000, 666 and 5 cents. On ThinkorSwim, before you entered this trade, $177, 270. So with those rounding issues just slightly off, once again, you can remove the penny stock trading. It's probably what I would do, but it also doesn't, it's not going to matter. Those $100 is not going to matter in the grand scheme of this test. So for this sake, we're just going to roll with it. All right. Who's still here with me? Comments, I don't know, comment peanut butter and jelly in the comment section if you're still with me, because that's the really boring part, getting your data set up. That was sort of a slower walkthrough, right, though? I'm going to show you a couple of examples here in a minute where I have to pull other reports, and I'm going to do it at my speed. And you'll see it's not necessarily that complicated. I just wanted to make sure to lay everything out in front of you. But now we get to do a lot more of the fun stuff. So now we get to do our calculations. I said I wanted a win percentage. I said I wanted a max win. I want a max loss. I want a average win. I want a average loss. And then I want an average trade P&L. So that's with your wins and your losses. Those are all the statistics I'm going to pull for my backtesting purposes in this video. But of course, now that you have your data laid out like this, you can pull any kind of statistics you want to from it. It's a great part about getting it set up in Excel like this. The data is now completely malleable to pull any results from. This is just the calculations I'm going to perform in today's video. Alrighty, let's get to calculating. I'm going to do all of these off my dome, so if I get any of them wrong, I'll cut the video and you won't see it. So I'm about to look like a genius. So for our win percentage, we are going to use a count if method. I believe they're called methods. And we're going to be pulling from the G column here, as that's where all of our individual trade results are. We're going to be saying count if anything in the G column, comma, open quotes is greater than 0, close quotes, close parentheses, and then we're going to divide that by a count of the entire G column. And before you ask, I looked this up myself. The count method does not count these empty rows. So that's not throwing off this average at all. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. Bada bing, bada boom. You are seeing a win percentage of 32%. Of course, if I right click this, go to format cells, turn it into a percentage. I don't really care about too many decimals. We'll leave it at 1. This strategy apparently has a win percentage of 32%. Just think about that first things first. This thing wins 32% of the time and makes this much money. That's continuation trading for you. If you guys have been around the channel, you know that's how I trade. Low win rate, but you're about to see, hopefully, I mean, obviously, you know it's profitable. So you're about to see a high risk reward. So max win and max loss is really easy. I'm going to go ahead and type in equals max, open parentheses, and then we're just going to do the entire G column. I'll just type it in, or you can select it. There's your max win, a $37,384. Amazing. I'm going to type, for max loss, I'm going to type in equals min of the G column. That's $5,907 lost. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm at it too, just format all of these cells into a currency with the red parentheses. That's obviously objective. Set it to whatever you want. But now you can see it in currency form there. So for your average win, this is going to be equal to average if And this is going to be similar to the win percentage. You're going to take an average of the G column, comma, if greater than 0. So obviously your average win, take the average of anything in this column that's greater than 0. Fantastic. For the average loss, I bet you can guess what we're going to do. Let's just go ahead and simply copy this, paste it in, and make it less than 0 instead. So your average, look at this strategy. Your average win is $8,149, and your average loss is $1,833. What's that? Over 4-to-1, nearly 5-to-1 risk reward on 32.5% win percentage. There's where your money comes from. Then of course your average trade is pretty easy. You're gonna use average, and you're just gonna take the average of your average win and your average loss. So this average and this average, you're gonna take those two averages. So every trade that this strategy has entered, the average P&L is $3,100. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, not that it necessarily matters, this strategy is taking $25,000 positions. So there we go. We have calculated everything out, but is this a real backtest? Does this really mean a lot? We have coded a strategy on the NVIDIA chart, and we have ran a backtest that shows that it made money on the NVIDIA chart. Does that really mean anything? No. It means next to nothing, if I'm being honest with you. Just running a strategy on one static subset of data, anybody can make that make money. It's not hard to do when you have a subset of data to make a strategy make money on it. But there is backtesting strategies, which we're about to go over, that can actually help you future-proof your strategy a little bit, right? That can actually give your data and your testing some meaning. So let's dive into those things. The first and easiest segue from what I was just talking about when speaking on subsets of data is to take the strategy that you have proven works and test it against smaller subsets of data, right? You have taken the entire NVIDIA chart and proved that it made money on that. Yay, yippee. But what about during COVID? What about during this bear market? What about during the 2007, 2009 collapse, What about during this big bull run here? How did it perform? When testing against separate subsets like that, that's a way to future-proof your strategy. That's a way to test against specific subsets of data so that you know how your strategy performs in those subsets. So what I'm going to do, and I've actually already done it, but I'll just show it here. I'm going to click on the F column here, this being your date and time, and I'm going to turn on the filter, and now you can sort by whatever year you want to. So 2007 to 2009 was the housing financial crisis. You can take this data. You now have this subset of data. You can take this, copy it, paste it into another Excel file, and then also paste these into that same file and get the results from that period. You can do the same thing. Let's look at 2020. How did it perform during COVID? Take this, paste it into another file, take your calculations, paste it in the same file. You'll see how it performed. But hopefully that makes sense. Take your strategy that you have proven across an entire set of data and do your best to prove how it works within smaller subsets of that data. That's a way to test against ever-changing market conditions. Because of course, NVIDIA is not always going to do this. You can't test the entire set of data and gain any real knowledge from that, right? So doing those subset dives is a great first step. The second and maybe most obvious way to help add validity to your backtest is to run it against different tickers. So we ran it against NVIDIA. I'm going to run a backtest also against Tesla. Now, I'm going to do the whole thing right now. We're going to go from start to finish. I'm going to focus a little bit here instead of talking to you all. I want to show you guys kind of how this necessarily isn't maybe as hard as it looked in the first walkthrough once you kind of get the hang of it and know what you're doing. So time me, let's jump into it and let's see how fast we can do this. I'm going to export my file. I'm going to open a file. I'm going to open that file, browse, confusing myself a little bit with the talking. Open that Tesla file, select that, data, text to columns. It's already set to semicolon because I did it earlier. Yes, that's okay. Take these and delete them. I'm forgetting what I need to do next. I deleted too many things. No, I didn't. I need to set my sum. I'm freaking myself out. Of negative this multiplied by this minus this multiplied by this, and I missed a multitude of parentheses. Go away, please. Stop giving me help when I didn't ask for help. That should give you your trade P&L there. That's fantastic. I'm going to filter this data to get rid of the buys. I'm going to double click this to give me all of my trades. I'm going to turn my buys back on. Actually, no, I'm not yet. Let's just go ahead and do our running P&L. I'm going to do the sum of this plus this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. The commentary is probably peak, but there's your now running P&L. If I just did all that correctly, I'm actually going to take a half second here to double check. I got a total P&L of $179,000. Actually, another step, I'm going to delete this last open trade. I got a total P&L of $204,000 on the ThinkorSwim application. I am up $203,800. So yes, close enough. Some rounding issues when it was a penny stock once again, but that is okay. So we've already got all of our data set up. How long did that take? 25, 30 seconds. And that was with a lot of being a little bit confused. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this data from here, and then how do you select everything? Oh, I did it. Control Shift down. Look at me go, proficient in Excel. I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to go back to my initial report, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom. I'm going to, let's go ahead and insert a row here first. It's not going to let me because it's got insert copied cells. That's fine. Let's just go ahead and paste them all in. You now have all of your NVIDIA trades and all of your Tesla trades, and they are all on this list now. You have a max win of 49,000, a win percentage of 37.4%. So that's basically it. That is being able to take the strategies that you have coded from ThinkorSwim or that you have gotten from my website, because this is what I want you guys to do with the codes from daytradingstrategies.net as well, right? I don't necessarily want you just taking them and blindly trading them. I want you to take them and run these back tests. Make sure they're going to work for your trade style, your emotional control. Make sure they still work, because obviously market conditions are always changing. No strategy is going to work forever. So whenever you get your hands on any kind of strategy, whether it be from me, one you create yourself, somebody else, you always want to be running back tests like this. And I just showed you how to do it in today's video, all the obvious technical aspects of how to physically do it. And then at the end there, a couple of ways that you can make sure that you're doing the best to future-proof your back testing rather than overfitting, rather than curve fitting, rather than just saying, look at how much money this thing makes when it doesn't actually mean a lot. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. It's a long video. If you're still here, I really appreciate you. I say this a lot, but especially on today's video, if you're still here, I'm not saying you're going to be the next millionaire day trader, but I think you've got a really good shot I think you have what it takes is what I'm trying to say. You are taking your trading seriously. You're taking your education seriously. You made it all the way to the end of a relatively boring back testing video, but this is what trading is. Trading is boring back testing in Excel sheets. I hate to break it to anybody out there that doesn't want to hear this. This is what trading is. It's not just looking at a chart and drawing a line and then trading off that line and hoping it works, right? That doesn't mean anything unless you are trading proven statistics that you've actually put the work in to do. So for those of you guys that did make it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a little extra special treat. If you use why did I say it like that? Special treat. What am I like? Anyway, if you use discount code END, that's END, Echo November December, Echo November Delta, on my website, daytradingstrategies.net, on checkout, you're going to get $10 off. You're going to get all the codes on that website for only $15. So if while you've been watching the video, you've been thinking about the value that might add, you thought it might be worth $25 for you, well, now you can get it for just $15. First link at the top of the description. Go check it out. Once again, if you made it this far, huge thank you. Please take the half second, hit the like button. Putting this together was a good bit of work. That's a great way to show me that you appreciate it. Obviously, if you made it this far in the video, you enjoy the content, and we are putting out stuff like this all the time. So subscribe. It's free. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign out of this video, but I'm going to link you all to my most recent strategy video, in which instead of these 37% win rate strategies, I build one with an 80% win rate strategy.